And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Backstage Pass, always live and in living color here, of course, every afternoon between about 3:30 to 6:30. Some of the best artists in the music industry, both in Texas and Nashville, we get to highlight here on the program. Our thanks go out to SiriusXM host and, of course, Willie's Roadhouse, and he's got his new music out there. Dallas Wayne for joining us earlier. Great show with himself and my co-host Jeff McMahon. Don't forget, next week we're in Nashville, Tennessee, the entire week. CRS 2022. And we get to hang out with some of Nashville's best and brightest. Just a few names coming out there. Shenandoah, and of course, Craig Campbell, John Barry. The list goes on and on. Deborah Allen. We get a chance to have a good time. And our first CRS here with the Backstage Pass. Again, presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, Hank Jr. Productions and MitchMacs.com. Pleased to welcome in one of the most recognizable talents. She's making music in the home state of Texas. And I get to go up the road to Austin here and welcome her into the show. Kelley Mickwee joins us here on the program. Kelley, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day outside and looking forward to chatting with you.
Looking forward to this. And we've been trying to set this up for quite some time. Your schedule's been busy, therefore the music is good. It keeps you out there. It keeps you playing those live shows. We'll talk about this because you've been kind of that mainstay here in Texas based for years recently. You've done some harmony and background vocals, live shows, recordings, things like that. I believe an Americana group, the Trishas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
A cool thing. You've been around music a very long time. Kind of tell the audience who may not know about Kelley Mickwee how you got started.
Oh gosh. Well, I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I
Mm-hmm.
grew up, and that's where I started playing music, I guess, for a living. I was just out of college, just graduated college, and my boyfriend at the time had a band, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd always been a singer. I'd taken voice lessons and I'd gone to conservatory and theater and acting and all of that. So I mean, I was a singer. I hadn't gotten on a stage in a venue and played a show until he asked me to get up and start singing a few songs. And fast forward a few years later, we ended up making a record together. Him and I. His name's Jed. We were called Jed and Kelley,
Mm-hmm.
and we hit the road. We bought an RV and we lived in it for 5 years and we toured around, and a lot of those stops were in Texas. In fact, the very first gig that we played once we left Memphis to start pounding the pavement was down in Port Aransas, Texas,
Oh yeah.
and we just ended up spending so much time here. And then after we quit touring together and went our separate ways, I moved here to Austin
Mm-hmm.
and met the Trishas, met the girls. We became the Trishas, and done various things since I've lived here. We were talking about Beaumont before we went live,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I was in a band called Shiny Ribs for the last 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the backup singer for that band. And Kevin Russell is
Mm-hmm.
he's a monster. Is that
I
what you're
believe,
called?
I believe, yeah, that's what I believe that's what they're called at the time. Bow Monster. Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard that term, no doubt. So
Yeah,
I
I
can
don't know
remember.
where he must have said that, but yeah, he's
Uh,
from Beaumont. So I played a bunch of shows in Beaumont over the years. Big Rich
mhm.
over there at Rich's
Oh yeah,
place.
yep, that's a good place, no doubt. And it's
Yeah.
we still continue to have venues that open, close, and it's still good to have them open here to have live music out there, no doubt. And
Yeah.
I know we'll talk about the latest single here just a little bit too, but I love how Texas music is still so rich down here. And I was listening back to just some of the great interviews I get to do here and talk to. In fact, we're going to go out and support one of my favorite Texas artists coming up this Friday at a new place. I'll say new place, Sawdust Saloon in Beaumont off of Highway 69 out there. Aaron Watson's playing out there this week, and my good friend Cody Hibbert. Yeah, it's amazing how people get started here in Texas, Kelley, and the artist doesn't have to really go places. I mean, for a few shows, they may go outside of Texas, but really they can kind of stay here and record a song, recording studios, get access to things that the same artist can in Nashville, and kind of make a living. And I use Aaron as a perfect example because he was talking about in the previous interview we did a while back. I was always kind of promised my fans I would stay here in Texas, do my thing. I wouldn't sign with a label. Nothing against anybody that does that, but
Yeah.
it's amazing how rich Texas country is now, and it still continues to boom. I mean, would you agree?
Absolutely. Yes, I would agree. I mean, I just had a friend the other day ask me, he was interested in moving to Austin and was talking about how hard it is to get a gig and what that's like here in Austin. And I said, honestly, I don't play a ton in Austin because, I've got the entire state. Like I can spend months and months never leaving Texas, going to Dallas and
Hmm.
San Antonio and far west and Beaumont and Houston and the coast. And, there are so many venues, so many music lovers who love Texas country music.
Hmm.
We are really, really lucky. I feel very fortunate to have moved here all those years ago because I've kind of been working on it, and feel lucky to be in Texas for sure because yeah, it's just and it gets better and better. You're right. It really does. Music festivals, I mean, goodness gracious, we've got so many of those. It's yeah. I love to travel and
Hmm.
play shows outside of Texas, but I don't have to if I don't want
Yeah.
to.
You got choices here, no
Yeah.
doubt. I love the single you guys put out yourself and Dan Dyer. "Don't Miss You" at Austin came out in November, right there
Yeah.
before Thanksgiving. Talk to me about how the arrangement came to be, and I guess the writing, and of course the production, and of course everything about the song.
Um, yeah, so Dan Dyer is a dear friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time, but we haven't done a lot of songwriting together. In fact, I think this was the first song that we've ever written together. And it was a song that he had he had the chorus already, and he told me the idea about it. And, basically it's a bit of it's a love letter to Austin, but it's also for all those small town folks in Texas who've
Hmm.
haven't managed the growth of the big cities well and have felt the need to move outside of town and get away from all the, there's cranes in our skyline, all year long now because
Hmm.
there's so much growth here and so many new buildings and roads and construction and like, with growth come a lot of good things, but also a lot of hassle. So the song is just kind of like it's a little bit nostalgic for missing the old days, like when I first moved here and when Dan used to live here, when it just really was a small town, and it's just
Hmm.
not anymore. So it's a bit of a nod to that, and yeah, we wrote that because we were going to do a duets project together, but with then the pandemic hit and
Hmm.
things changed for me and for him, and so we kind of put that idea on the back burner. Um, and we're gonna maybe do that at some point in the future. And I also released a few more singles right before that, and
Hmm.
Boomtown to Bust, and Let's Just Pretend We're Holding Hands.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
those were also written for to be duets. So I had Dan sing that Boomtown to Bust song with me, and I think we'll get on that eventually. But for now, I just wanted to release some new music and
Get it
um,
out there to the fans. Yeah, no doubt. That's what
yeah.
people love that, and that's the biggest thing we get. Stay busy here on this show is always new music comes out, so it keeps us in business. I will say, no doubt about that. Hey, I'm gonna go back to some old school Kelly here off of 2014, and this is one of the reasons I love because I used to DJ for an Americana station way back when, and the River Girl comes out off the "You Used to Live Here" album. Tell me about River Girl because I really have enjoyed that song for many years and ever since it came out. So congrats on that tune for being one of your most popular, no doubt.
Thank you. Yeah, it sure is. I definitely get that one requested the most. Almost every show, someone asks for that song, which is great. It's all good. Um, that song really it's about my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. It's River City, and grew up right there on the Mississippi River. And so that was kind of the idea for it. But the term River Girl came from I was watching the documentary on the music that came out of Muscle Shoals.
Hmm.
And it's a great documentary, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But anyway, you can Google Muscle Shoals music
Hmm.
documentary, which is just down the road in Alabama from Memphis. Um, and there was this old local dude living in Muscle Shoals, and he was talking about the people that live there on the river and how they're different than other people, and the way those musicians play and sang and wrote like all came from the struggles that they had endured for centuries, living on the river, with
Hmm.
its good and its bad. So that he referred to himself and everyone that lived there as river people. And I was like, man, that's really cool idea. I'm a river People, but River People doesn't really sing as well as River Girl. So um, I started that song, River Girl or River Boy, you know.
Out is, and then Born is a spectacular song, no doubt. It's one of your most popular today. Well, I tell you, let's reach the point in the show. We're going to do one of two today. So let's have you play one for us here on the show. And of course, we'll come back and whatever you play, we're going to unravel the story behind it as we come back from commercial break. So it's all yours. What song are we going to hear first?
Oh, I mean, do you want me to play River Girl or no?
Let's do that. That seems to be the most popular, and I feel it is. Unless it was on my playlist since 2014, so definitely we can. We just talked about it. Now we can have you play it. So
Okay, great, great. Yeah, and then I'll do a new song for my next.
All right, that'll work. Here we go. It's all
I just want to sleep all day, rain on my roof, oh, the river keeps rising, ain't that the truth? It could wash me away, down to the sea, rolling and tumbling, so honey, won't you play a song for me? Well, I come from the cotton, I come from the mud. Yeah, I know what this water can do when she floods. It's a hard time upon us in the land of the free. We're all just rolling and tumbling. So honey, won't you play a song for me? Play way down low, sing it for your river girl. Oh, the river girls. And I've been on my knees. God only knows. So sing one for your river girl. Oh, the river girls. Ooh. People around here were tougher than most. Well, we wrestle the devil till we give up the ghost. You know, but one of these days, don't you just wait and see, 'cause we'll all be rolling and tumbling. So honey, won't you play a song for me? Play way down low, sing it for your river girl. Oh, the river girls. And I've been on my knees. God only knows, He only knows. So sing it for your river girl. Ooh.
That's why I love that song, and I've had it on my playlist since 2014. Again, the Texas artist Kelley Mickwee joins us back here on the program, and we're going to take a break. We talked a lot about River Girl. Come back and dive into a few more songs. Just having a good old time here on a Tuesday. Hard to believe, middle of February, Kelley. I don't know where time is going now, but it's just crazy. What, 15? No, less than that. What, 13 days left in the month, and we're it's crazy enough.
It's kind of nice that it's going fast these days and not creeping along like it kind of did when we were stuck in our houses,
That's
a good
that's
thing.
a good point. I think we're traveling again. I know for
Yeah.
me, for the first time I've done a live show, a little bit nervous with it, but I'm going to get past it. For the first time in 2 years, I was mentioning before the show, packing up the equipment and getting the old travel bags ready and get ready to hit a flight on Monday to Music City. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of busy work, and I guarantee you there'll be a few cat naps involved too, Kelly, when I get time to
You
do that
gotta.
too as well.
You gotta.
So
You gotta have a cat now.
you got to. We'll take a break for our sponsors, Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, MitchMacs.com. More from those fine folks. Stay tuned. More with Kelley Mickwee here on the Backstage Pass. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here again, Kelley Mickwee joining us here on the show. Of course, next week we'll be there, like I said, Nashville, Tennessee, CRS 2022, which is Country Radio Seminar, and having a big week. Caitlin Smith from Sony Music, of course, and a whole lot more. Shenandoah, John Barry, and hanging out with some of the legends and some of the rising stars in the business. Somebody's got to do it. Tough job, Kelley, but I'm going to be there with the team handling some big duties. But hey, it's a lot of fun there at the Omni Hotel. Looking forward to hanging out and doing some big things there. Tomorrow, we'll have a great artist named Townsend coming on the program, and we'll finish the week with Ryan Griffin on Thursday, too, as well. It's kind of crazy how, I guess, they always say this saying, Nashville being a 10-year town. I guess we call Texas a 10-year state. You've been doing this thing for a long time. You've stepped on some pretty cool stages, and I want to go back to a festival in I believe it's the one for Steamboat Springs in Colorado. My sister goes to every year, and she says, man, that's just one of the coolest things. She went again this year, caught a couple of the Texas artists, Josh Ward, who we've had on this program before. Just talk about that particular festival, and that's like one of the highlighted ones of the year, especially in January, that artists like flock to because they say it's pretty badass. Tell me about stepping on that stage back in the day.
Yeah, it is badass. So it's just called the Music Fest at Steamboat, started by John and Robin Dixon. They lived down here, Buda, Texas. And I do believe, maybe this was the 25th year. I don't know, somewhere in that.
Wow.
I should probably know that, but it's somewhere in there. They've been doing it a long time. He just started out with I think Pat Green and 100 people went up and joined Pat Green and maybe Kevin Fowler or someone like that all those years ago. And it's turned into this just massive migration of Texans and also other artists from other states and people come from all over now, actually. But, really at its heart and soul, it's a Texas country music festival in the mountains, really. We could do a whole podcast on that festival, but it's important to me for a lot of reasons. But one main reason why it's important to me is because you mentioned earlier the Americana all-female quartet. I was in the Trishas. We all four kind of had, separate things going on musically and otherwise. And we decided to come together just for this one song and this one tribute. Oh, earbud
Oh,
out.
it's all good. Those things slip in all the time.
I know it got so weird, like talking. I can't hear my clear self talk. Anyway, we came together for a tribute to great Nashville songwriter and now Texan. Kevin Welch is his name, and we ended up having a 5-year really successful career from just throwing a few songs together and doing that tribute up in Steamboat. So that was kind of the birth of the Trishas, and that particular project has been really important and really crucial in my time here in the scene. The people that we met and all the gigs we played, and we all really grew a lot out of that and came out of that with a lot more contacts
Yeah.
than we had before, and it all came from that festival. So that's just one little thing about it, but you should come.
I need to go up there. Keep saying that's one of the bucket list things. You check the box. You're like, man, I've got to do this and have a good time. So definitely that's could be on the bucket list for January of 2023 once they get that thing going again. You're right. It's been going for over 20 years, she says. I know another cool thing you guys have done has been in Red River, New Mexico, I believe. Y'all had a songwriters tour. Was it Traveling Red River Songwriters Tour that you have done some work there? Tell me all about that, because pretty cool when you can do an event like that too to go along with the Music City Steamboat Springs big festival too.
Yeah, they are similar in the fact that they're both in the mountains and they're both kind of based around skiing as well, and they're close in time. I think Steamboat's in January and ours is end of January, early February. And I say ours is because I started that festival with Drew Kennedy. Well, he had the idea for it, and he brought along Drew Kennedy, Susan Gibson, Walt Wilkins, and Josh Greider and myself to help him put it on every year. And we just celebrated our 10th year this year.
That's awesome. Love that.
It's so awesome. Yeah. And it's really, really, really based around songwriters. So we don't have any bands. We have a lot smaller venues than Music Fest, so they're a lot more intimate shows. We do some in the rounds, the old Bluebird style in the round.
Yep.
And we do a few at the base of the ski lift throughout town, and then we have our night shows, and it's really, really based around the song and the songwriter. And we keep it fairly small. We kind of have a cap on how many tickets we can sell because of the venue sizes. But yeah, man, it's really fun. It's skiing and music, and at this point there are people that have been coming for 8, 9, 10 years, so they've got this whole family that they've begun and see every year of the people that they attend, and you know what I mean, like they all have a little group of people that they all hang out every year because they've met and become friends at this festival. So it's cool. Yeah,
that's cool, getting events like that, and like you said, come out with the great contacts and enjoy things people love too, especially this time of year, skiing and music. And I'm sure there's a good beverage to go along with that somewhere in there too at the same time.
some good beverages. Yeah.
Back to that album I still loved so much. You used to live here. Tell me about Take Me Home, because I thought that was another just good vibe kind of feel. Just when you turn on a tune like that, for me, I don't want to turn it off. So tell me about that song and kind of how it was born.
Yeah, that song was born in Nashville. Actually, I was up there on a riding trip, and when the Trishas were a band, we were signed to Warner Chapel in Nashville, so we would go to Nashville a lot and write for Warner Chapel. And all of those trips, I always had the girls with me, the Trishas. And this particular trip, I had gone on my own to see what it was like to, fly solo as a songwriter in Nashville, which can be very scary and very intimidating. And I ended up deciding it wasn't for me. But that particular weekend, I had just had a couple really bad co-writing sessions, and I was pretty bummed out about it, and called my husband at the time, who who was back home in Texas, and I was like crying. I was just like having all the emotions, having a real girl moments
Hmm.
with him, and I was so frustrated. And he was like, you should probably put the phone down, hang up with me, and you should go in there and write a song about how you're feeling right now, because that's why you're there, and that's what I
Hmm.
know you can do. So get in there and write a song about how much you want to leave Nashville and come home. So I did, and I had a songwriting appointment that night with Phoebe Hunt, who is a great songwriter and fiddler, singer, and she was having similar feelings that day. So we wrote that song about just being scared out
Hmm.
there in the wild, wild west of Nashville. As a songwriter, it can be a little intimidating, and so that's generally, yeah, that's what it's about.
I love that song, no doubt. We're going to talk a little bit about this coming back, but I tell you, let's do another one here. One of the new ones that you wanted to play for us, and definitely, of course, that single "Don't Miss You" at Austin is out there with Kelley, and of course, the great Dan Dyer out there right now. Get it across all the digital platforms. Make sure you go grab that if you don't have it, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more. And of course, I want to ask you about pretty cool this River Girl Radio, sunradio.com, and you got to do some cool things with that. So we're going to talk about that, and I believe you hosted for what 5.5 years
I
till you
did,
had to step
yeah.
away. So I told you we do our research here, Kelley, on the program. So definitely
You sure
a
do. When
good
you
thing. So
first brought that up, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that anymore. But you already know that.
I knew that too as well, which is a good thing. All right, it's all yours, Kelley. Again, presented by Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. And what are we going to hear?
We're gonna hear the single I released right before "Don't Miss You" at Austin. It's called "Boomtown to Bust."
All right, here we go.
Okay. Still can remember those last dying embers of the night they called it a day. Came down from the high wire, put out the last fire of a love we kept hidden away. Still can remember when our love was tender, nothing could drag me away. Now I can see you, the smoke clears from my view. We've said all there is to say. So roll up the sidewalks, empty the mailbox, saddle up the horses, we're back to the boondocks. From iron to rust, boomtown to bust, not all that glitters is gold. So I'll take the high road. I'm letting go of this load. It's weighing so heavy on me. We got caught in a landslide, taken by a riptide, leaving our love lost at sea. So roll up the sidewalks, empty the mailbox, saddle up the horses, we're back to the boondocks. Iron to rust, boomtown to bust, not all that glitters is gold. Oh, baby, a glow, but honey, now we know not all that glitters stays gold, and not all that glitters stays gold.
Love that song. Just takes me on a ride back to the country, those back roads. I just want to turn up the radio and have a good time and just relax to music. It's like your own concert here
I
on
just
the.
realized I gave you 2 waltzes.
It's all good. I love waltzes, so it's
I
nothing
do too.
wrong with that. Love Americana, love country, love a little bit of everything. There's, I guess, what's that word they say? Smorgasbord of everything out there is my fan of music that I enjoy. Be sure and check her out, kelleymickwee.com. And of course, the single Don't Miss You at Austin is out there right now. Hey, speaking of what's new, before we take a break here, last break of the show, we'll come back and do a little segment I like to call a rapid fire. Just have a good time with a series of questions there too. I know there's probably some new music on the horizon. You guys are working on that every day. Never does a musician rest on their laurels. What can fans expect kind of moving forward in 2022? There's some process for new music coming out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do already have the 3 singles I released already, and one more I have yet to release. We're all recorded here in Austin with a great songwriter and producer, Jonathan Tyler. From originally from Dallas, Texas, and so we did 4 songs. So I've got one more song of those recordings to release, and that'll be on February 25th. Song called "The Gold Standard," song I wrote with Owen Temple, and then I've just been writing a lot. Like I said, I was in that band Shiny Ribs for a long time, and it was super fun. But I kind of put away my writing pen for a long time because I was traveling a bunch and just being a backup singer, having fun, dancing, and so I didn't have this huge batch of songs that I was ready to record. I had these few. So I've been in writing mode, and at the end of 2020, I'm going to go into the studio and record a new batch and release a record, because still got to have records these days. I mean,
you do. Yep.
I know it's a singles world, and that's cool. I dig that. But man, there's nothing like a good old start to finish album, one complete piece of work. So,
and all the songs that you want to put on there come to life even more than just a single. Nothing against it, but I love getting to check out what may not be a hit. Sometimes it's on an album, and it's kind of one of those songs. In fact, I was brought to mind last week, John Michael Montgomery was on the show with us, and we had talked about doing some stuff like with, kind of what goes forward and what's coming up, that kind of thing. I said, we can talk about all the hits all day, but the one I'd ask him about, I said, man, I'm going to take you back. I believe it was 98 and the Leave a Mark album. This one's going to leave a mark. And we talked about that. It was one of those songs that was kind of hidden. It didn't have to chart like in the top 50 or top 20 or whatever. I was like, but man, you go to a live show, which I went to back then when I was DJing radio. I'd say, dude, you used to play that in your set all the time. And he walked me through that whole thing there too. So but it's those type of songs that get hidden that don't always have to be hits, that sometimes fans just really connect with,
Absolutely. Those are my favorites. And also, like, sometimes your hit song isn't the one you want to sing every night. I mean, you got to kind of, but sometimes it's those songs like that, the B-siders that that are the best to sing, and that the artist tends to love more than the single in a lot of cases. So yeah, for sure.
No
That's
doubt.
cool. I love John Michael Montgomery.
He's fantastic. Got 30 years, still going strong. Hey, tell me about sunradio.com. You did this for, I know, 5.5 years till stepping away last year. River Girl Radio. You kind of got to have an experience, do what you wanted to do, and freedom to kind of play whatever just came to mind, and stretch that creative muscle, I guess I should say, what we do here on the show too all the time. How much fun was that, and kind of give the audience a little shed of light on just being able to do something like that, a project that you'll probably remember for a long time.
For sure. So much fun. It's because of my friend Kevin Connor, local DJ here. I started going on to his Saturday show, kind of guest hosting with him. And speaking of outlaw country, my show that ended up being River Girl Radio used to be Paula Nelson's show called Highway 290. She hosted that show. And then when she moved over to Sirius, I think she's, I guess, on Willie's Place. She has a show over there. She's Willie's daughter, Paula. And so she, when she left to go to Sirius, she left Sun Radio. I kind of stepped in and took over Highway 290 and ended up changing the name to River Girl Radio and making it a little more of my own. And I themed it, so that I had some parameters, because
Hmm.
if not, I would just be wanting to play all kinds of stuff. So I did a little theme every week, and it really made me step out of my box for sure. Like, I broadened my knowledge of music so vastly in those 5 years, because I
Hmm.
was like, okay, tonight's show is about coffee. So I gotta go research some songs
Hmm.
that go along in that theme, and I learned about all kinds of new artists and music from all the genres. So it was really, I mean, they just gave me total freedom to have basically just a genre-less show, just a
Hmm.
theme-based show, kind of like Bob Dylan's Theme Time Radio Hour. I don't know if you remember when Bob Dylan
Do
did a
yep,
radio show, but it was
yep.
so awesome.
You get to listen to stuff like yep, and especially with the streaming now, you can go back and like I said, just listen to a lot
Can
of
listen
things
to
that
that.
people like. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a cool.
yeah. That was my inspiration was the Bob Dylan themed radio hour.
Well, that's cool. You got to experience that too. I myself
Yeah.
got to experience that early in my radio career when I did a little bit of that too. Freedom to kind of play what you wanted to, and then what you had to, and then do some DJing on the side, which was a really cool thing with the call letters. And I still respect everybody
Yeah.
out there in the business that works in it, no doubt, and how tough that job is. We're gonna take a quick timeout. We still got rapid fire to do with Kelley Mickwee. You never know what answers are going to come here on the program, so. The good thing is
Yeah.
no SAT questions or no right or wrong answers. So that's a good thing. We'll come back
Okay.
after a timeout with Kelley. About 5 minutes left in the show. Hang tight. Word from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And next week we'll be doing that with some of the best and brightest in Nashville, Tennessee, and of course a few legends sprinkled in there too. Craig Campbell, great songwriter, great artist. Shannon Doa, of course. Mike McGuire and Marty Raven going to come by and visit with us during our radio booth there. And Deborah Allen, she's been on the show before, terrific singer and lady who's performed on the Grand Ole Opry. And of course, just many more. Caitlin Smith, Sony Music, and JD Shelburne. And I can tell you the list goes on and on. By the end of the day, we'll be wanting to go out and enjoy some of the nightlife. No doubt about that. Thanks to our sponsors that make the program possible and make the trip possible to Nashville next week at CRS 2022. Myself, Jeff McMahon, and Kirsty Krause in Music City, no doubt. Hey, rapid fire, and we'll begin with this because I thought this was a great song. I intended to ask you about it before we had started the show, and of course, during the process of the show. Let's just pretend, and of course, we're holding hands. That single came out last year. What was kind of the root of that one? Because I felt that was just good sounding Americana music, and I put it on my playlist.
Thank you. Yeah. What's the root? Musically, you mean?
Yeah, just musically, where'd it come from? How did it get born? And of course, I'm sure there's a good backstory to that one.
Yeah, it got born from same Ben Jones, guy I wrote Boomtown the Bus with, rewrote Let's Just Pretend We're Holding Hands. And funny enough, Dan Dyer sent me that line and just said, hey, here's a line that I saw posted on like Instagram the other day. It was during 2020 lockdown COVID times, and someone had posted that, and so he lifted that line and sent it to me and said, let's write it. And before I could see Dan again, Ben and I had already written it. So it wasn't necessarily meant to be like a lockdown song, but it is a little bit of a nod to that era without it being super over the top COVID hokey and whatnot. It's just a little nod to I think I say 6 feet away at the end of the song. And then musically it just ended up kind of being like Mavericksy, It's got a really great sounding Mavericksy kind of guitar lick in
Yeah,
there, played by Jonathan Tyler, and some accordion, and so it's got a little bit of that flair, which I love those guys so much. Yeah,
it's a good
that's
feeling
a
song.
short
It's a good
answer.
song. Love that. No, it's good. All right. So, favorite food, favorite beverage. You're having one of those days. It's like, man, don't want to cook. I just kind of want to just go get my favorite thing, whether it be tacos or whatever else you want to do, take out or get something. What's kind of on the Kelley Mickwee menu?
Well, I'd say the thing I get most excited about eating is sushi.
Okay. That's a good choice. And I had that the other night too. Somebody had said sushi on the program. And I said, I'm going to go grab it. And here in Beaumont, we had one called Tokyo, and it was just a damn good sushi restaurant. I went out there and got like 2 rolls and some soup and a couple other things in the bag. I was like, just throw it all in there. We'll eat it. And the kid and the wife loved it. And
Yeah,
it was just a good trip. We hadn't eaten sushi in quite a while. So I'm there with you. What
yeah.
about beverages? Do you think coffee or coffee drinker?
Yeah, I'm a coffee drinker for sure. I'm a latte with oat milk gal.
Oat milk. Wow, that's a good. I tried that one time, and that's people don't realize that was actually really good.
It is really
I
good.
was,
It's like it's creamy like cow's milk,
it
and
is.
so
It's
yeah,
good.
I cut out the dairy and the
Hmm.
last couple of years. So I've been experimenting with alternatives, and oat milk is a good one.
It's a good one, no doubt. All right, let's talk more food. We'll stay with that category because everybody loves food. Kelly McWee's ordering a pizza just for Kelly. What toppings go on
Um, no
it?
one's ever asked me that. Um, all veggies.
Okay.
I'm a veg, so I would get all veggies. Although I will say there's this place in Austin that has a clam pizza.
Really? Hmm.
Yes, and it is so good because I love fish as well. Um,
Wow, I've never heard of a
so
clam
I
pizza.
know, and it sounds like it would be not good, right? I mean, even
It
just the sound of it
sounds.
sounds bad, but it's really good. It's a pizza joint down on Congress Avenue, and they have clam pizza. That's
Oh
my
man,
answer.
give that a try when we get to Austin next time, no doubt. I'll have to email you
Call
and
me
say,
up.
hey, call you up and say, hey, this was my take on it, or this was not so good about it, depending upon the taste buds that come to mind. All right, you'll love this one. You've probably never been asked this one for a while. You won the lottery tomorrow. What's the first thing Kelly would do with the money?
Man, that is a hard question. You said no hard questions.
Well,
Yay.
I'm sorry. And I intend for it to be hard.
You know, I I've kind of structured my life to not have much debt. So my
Hmm.
brain went to like 20s 20-year-old me, which would have been to pay off all my credit cards and stuff, but I've done that already. So I know what I would do. I would travel. First thing I would do is go to like I have a list of countries that I've never visited that I want to visit.
Hmm.
And Portugal, Morocco, um, I mean,
A
Singapore,
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot. I have a long list. And so I'd start tackling that list. I'd say,
I like that. All right, this
yeah.
may be a little difficult. I don't mean for them to be intentionally difficult, but
Oh
this
no.
is kind of a two-parter. The title of the first song you ever wrote, or what was the song about for Kelly?
You know what? I know this. The first song that I ever had a co-write on was a song I wrote with Jamie Lynn Wilson in those years that we were in Nashville. I became a songwriter way late in the game.
Hmm.
So four Trishas, three of them were songwriters, and I was not. And so once we started writing songs in Nashville, I pretty much had to dive head first into it.
Hmm.
And we wrote a song with a guy named John Eddy, great songwriter in Nashville. It's called Strangers. And it was a song from a man's point of view that's been married for years and years and is in an unhappy, unsuccessful marriage. And so, I mean, obviously, I couldn't relate to the character in the song whatsoever. And it was
Hmm.
my first dive into songwriting was co-writing with Jamie Lynn Wilson and John Eddy. A song called
I love
Strangers. It's
that.
on our Trisha's album.
I love that too. They'll definitely check that out, no doubt. Speaking of the Trishas, do you guys still keep in contact, or ever just? I'm sure the friendship developed over the years, and definitely, it's always good to stay in touch, no doubt, right?
Absolutely. I've seen them all three of them several times this last month. So yeah, we keep in contact a lot.
I love
And
that. It's good stuff.
we'll do something together one day, maybe our 20th anniversary or something. We'll do a show.
Huge fans of you guys and the work y'all put out there too, no doubt. So it was one of the best groups ever formed, and definitely people still have great relationships to walk away with. Like you said, great contacts, and you guys left an imprint there on the music industry. So I still have some of the stuff on the playlist that I still listen to every day when it just rolls
Thank
and
you.
rolls and rolls. It's a good thing.
Man,
So
I need to get hip to your playlist.
you do. I'll have to tell you a little bit more what's on it. You're on it, Patricia's, and a whole. Well, you imagine how much music I get doing this show on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. We get a ton of music that gets sent to us. All right, speaking of,
how many hours is your playlist?
oh my, it's got to be we're talking,
Like 24 hours?
Yeah, at least. Oh yeah. At least it's a, and when I do put it on, it can loop forever. Like in the car, hook it up to the USB, and it just will.
Right.
I never have to switch over to radio XM or whatever I'm doing. It stays just on the phone. It's just right there. So
that's
great.
a good thing. I'll check it
out. What about when it comes to kind of a bucket list dream collaboration, or either, I guess, an artist to work with or a stage to step on? Kind of what direction would you go there if you could have your pick to write a song with someone or step on a stage with them?
Easy. Paul McCartney and or John Mayer.
There you go. Two of the finest. So you made it easy right there. Hey, some of the questions do take thought, but you passed the test for the first time on that too. The story's great. Out of Austin, doing her own thing. Don't Miss You in Austin as the single with Dan Dyer out there across all the platforms. KelleyMickwee.com is the website. I hope you had a great time. Thanks for joining us on the show today, and looking forward to having you back as soon as new music comes out for the fans.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
No problem. I try to have it always a good time here on the show. Tomorrow, lady by the name of Townsend will join us here on the program. Ryan Griffin Thursday, and of course the countdown to CRS is next week, the 23rd to the 25th. Of course, we'll be there a couple of days earlier getting things lined out, and we'll see you guys on the show coming up tomorrow. Until then, have a great night, and definitely stay warm, because I know it's supposed to get a little bit cold here in Texas coming up tonight too, with some rain this week too at the same time. So we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Backstage Pass. Thanks to the sponsors, and we'll talk then. See you soon.